BG is back, baby, on Unblocked with Brandon Graham this morning. Franchise legend number 55 announced that he's ending his brief retirement to rejoin the Philadelphia Eagles. And while we've heard that this was probable for a couple of weeks now, it didn't take away from the weight of the official announcement, because hearing why from BG himself was quite powerful. He loves this team. He's not ready to say goodbye to the game, and he wants a chance to write an even better ending, this time more so on his own terms. And I got to tell you, as someone who has been watching Brandon Graham since the not Earl Thomas days, I felt so good listening to that man this morning. I felt so good for that man this morning. And I got a little reminder of what endeared him so much to us after that less than ideal beginning to his tenure here in Philadelphia, when he dropped a little, hold on, wait a minute, y'all thought I was finished. It reminded me that this guy cares as much as we do, and you can never have enough of that on or off the field. It doesn't sound likely he'll play against the Giants. He said, you'll never know. We'll see. But he'll have the bye in all likelihood to prepare himself for the final 9 games and the playoffs. But there's not a doubt in my mind his presence will be felt as soon as tomorrow down at the NovaCare Complex. So today, the show is BG Adelphia, and I want to start out by saying, welcome back, 55. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to Philadelphia, presented by our friends at Bet Parks. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the afternoon. Joining me live in the Xfinity Lounge, it is my producer and the host of PHLY Phillies, the one and only Tyler Zulli. What's going on today, Tyler?
Yeah, good afternoon, Bill. This was a cool day. There's a lot of people here. It was a lot of excitement, obviously centered around Brandon Graham coming back to the NFL. This was a really, really cool day here at PHLY, and I think a lot of people echo your sentiments. It's cool to see somebody who still loves this team, clearly, and still believes he's got something left to give in the NFL. Give it another go. I think it was a really fun day for us here.
It was. It's been a really cool, fun day having BG here. Bo Wolf, the co-host of Unblocked, and it's just great having Brandon around. The energy his announcement and just his presence brings to this place. Like, we're not a bunch of athletes. We're not actually like competing, and it's like, I'm ready to freaking go today. And I gotta imagine that is going to weigh heavily in the Birds locker room as well. I saw some comments early, like, I liked knowing he went out as a champion. I like that, it's what does he really have left? I don't want to see him, come out and kind of ruin the storybook ending. The thing is, you only get so long to play the game. It's like in a Moneyball. We're all told we can't play. For guys like me, like, the last game of my hockey career was my senior year of high school when we lost in the playoffs. That was that. I've played some men's league, but like, no more competitive sports for me after that point. He's 37 and a half years old. I understand that's, ancient in sports terms, but there will be a day where he simply cannot, where the league tells him, nah. But he was called by Howie Roseman. He was asked by the best organization in the NFL, yo, we need you. And he thinks he can contribute. That's the storybook ending. Being told you still have it, we think. I realize there's a really good chance they don't win the Super Bowl. He doesn't get to just go out, final game, lifting the trophy and all that. But the man has 2 rings already, and hell, not a ton of athletes in this city's history, let alone the franchises, can say that. I mean, it's in terms of Super Bowl rings, it's him, Lane, and Jake. Total championships, I think Chuck Bednarik might be the only, I guess, like the 48-49 guys. But like Bednarik was there in 48 or 49 and 60. No one has 3, I don't think. In terms of hockey, they won 2, the back-to-back guys. The Phillies, they've been around since 1883. They won, 2 30 years apart? The Sixers, I don't know how many guys have multiple with that franchise because the Warriors and the whole thing is confusing to me personally. But having 2 already, having a chance now to kind of write his own ending, he doesn't feel like he was ready to end it all. That tells me he has something left in the tank. He has something to get out there and prove. I don't know how much they're going to lean on him. I don't know what percentage of snaps he's going to play, especially after the bye when he's all acclimated and back in playing shape. But I think it's just cool as hell that he gets this opportunity to do it on his own terms.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing, I have to imagine, as a player to hang it up and say, hey, I'm done. And you see all the time press conferences, whether they go out as champions or not, there's a lot of tearful emotions. There's a lot of difficulty in having those conversations because it's all you've done as a professional. It is your job. I think I would probably be, tearful if somebody said, hey, you're done creating sports media content, right? And you can't do that anymore because you don't have your fastball anymore, whatever it might be. That would be a difficult day for me. So I think, if you do something you love, and I imagine BG has shown many, many times over that he loves to play the game of football and he loves this city, to still be able to be wanted has to feel pretty good. And so for a team that is in desperate need of edge help, and for somebody who we know what he's going to do well. He's going to set the edge well on the run. He's going to be a veteran presence in the locker room. I'm not asking him to get 7, 8, 9 sacks in the last couple of weeks. I am asking him to be, can he be a 15, 18 snap guy a game once he gets his feet underneath him to give you some stability on the edge until Nolan Smith comes back, until you kind of figure out, are you going to make a trade or are you not? This gives you a little bit of a buoy at that position that you desperately needed, especially after Zadarius Smith retires.
And that's, Brandon talked about this. He said, in camp and after week 1, Howie did call him once, and he was like, no, I'm staying retired. And then he kind of felt like, man, I wish if they ask again, my answer changes. And then he saw Zadarius Smith retire and thought, this is the sign. This is the sign that I'm not done. And I just think that's freaking awesome that, it means that much to him that as soon as he was like, no, I got a lot going on, because the man has stayed busy. It's not as if he's just chilling. He's got the show here with Unblocked. You see him promoting Crooked Tea. He's got a tequila he's been promoting. He's on every commercial on the radio and during games on TV. He has not just been chilling. And I think we have firsthand accounts. I know at least the cardio is good, because while the elevator was out here and we all, just media people, felt like we were going to die, he was taking those stairs like a champ. So I can tell you at least the cardio is still good, and we'll see how the rest comes around. But I'm excited for him. I am happy that he's going to get to write his own story. And honestly, he's probably my favorite Eagle of all time. I'm glad I'm going to get to see him play again. I'm glad he's going to be out there talking smack. And listen, I know everything's all butterflies and rainbows after Jalen and AJ were connected 4 times, couple touchdowns, some long passes, but it was calculated what he did last year for the locker room when he, let some things slip on the air over at the sports talk station. He's a leader in more than one regard. He is very close with the quarterback. I think he is needed both on and off the field. Again, like you said, I don't think we're counting on him for 8 sacks here. This is a man who, at 34 years old, set his career high and went over 10 for the first time. He's never been that guy. He's a steadying force. He's really good against the run. He's responsible on both sides. But I think it is very much about having the body, having some production, and having the leadership as well. It's kind of a full package situation, and it can't hurt. You didn't have to give anything up. You didn't have to make a trade, which is pretty big. Because like they've made a ton of trades lately. They had to trade 2 picks for freaking Tank Bigsby. You don't want to give something up for a rental for a guy who might only play 30% of the snaps, whatever it is. So I think all in all, it's a move that can't go wrong, quite honestly. All right, on the other side, we're going to talk more BG because it is BG Adelphia here on Philadelphia today. But first, I have to tell you about our presenting sponsor. Whether your favorite team wins or not, there's always another way to win on the BetParx online casino app. They've got some great games like Huff and More Puff, Fireblaze Sky Queen. It's the only app I use to play all my favorite casino classics. And when I say all my favorite classics, I'm talking blackjack, I'm talking roulette, I'm talking craps, poker, baccarat, and hot online slots like Cash Eruption, 88 Fortune, Cleopatra. I've been into some roulette lately. Who doesn't love a little roulette, man? Put a couple bucks on black, see how it goes. That's what I like to do with my free time. Turn it into a little fun time, maybe even some profit time. And right now is the time to get in at BetParx because new users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. All you got to do, super easy. Go to betparx.com, download the app right now, and enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. You must be 21 and in PA, Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for BetParx. You love to play. You play to win. You bet. BetParx. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, last night we got treated to an incredible baseball game, but that doesn't mean just because that series is over, you don't have sports to watch. You've got the big series coming up in a little bit, college and pro football this weekend, hockey and basketball starting up this week as well. So if you call yourself a big sports fan, you have to get Xfinity. It is the ultimate sports destination where you can get all of the best games plus your favorite teams all in one place, and the way that you watch, it becomes next level. It's that perfect fan flex. You get all that action right in your living room. Plus, with enhanced crystal clear optics and 4K sound, it's going to feel like you're at the ballpark, feel like you're at the arena, feel like you're at the field. You don't have to leave the comfort of your couch. And sometimes you can have up to 4 games going at once because why not? You can, right? And on top of that, you get real-time notifications and live stats right on your TV. It is the best seat in the house every single time. Next game day, make sure the big fan in your life, whether it's you, a buddy, a friend, a family member, isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that.
All right, welcome back. I'm going to do a little best of BG here. Just talk about some of his records, some of his great games, and really what we could be in store here as he makes his return. He is, of course, Brandon Graham, the franchise leader in games played in the regular season, 206. He's well up on Jason Kelsey at 193. David Akers, Fletcher Cox there at 188. Doc at 183. Now he gets to add to his lead. I think there's 9 games left in the regular season. He's also played 12 playoff games. If they go the route of 4, if they don't have the bye, and then they get back to the Super Bowl, as was the case a year ago, he could tie McNabb for playoff games played. I think McNabb is second, I want to say. Dawkins might be first at 18. But either way, in regular season games played, all-time leader in franchise history, and now he's got a chance to get, no one else has hit 200. He's got a chance to get to what? What would that be, 215? So that would really be something. 200 games, all with the Eagles. I was reading some of the quotes from when he retired, and they asked him what it meant like to be the all-time games played leader. And he said, "It's amazing because I didn't see it coming." And I think that's one of the underrated parts about what has endeared him to us. It has not been easy for the man. Like, it's not as if he was just, yeah, man, he came in and we loved him right away and he was just a stud. And it's been all, again, butterflies and rainbows his entire tenure. The dude has dealt with us, and he's dealt with the worst of us. You know, I mentioned in the open the not Earl Thomas days. That was basically his first name. You know, it was at the very least his middle name. And we very bitter about that draft where, you know, we're looking for the Dawkins replacement. He had left, I think, 2 years prior, maybe a year prior. Earl Thomas sitting there, and there you go with the the high motor guy out of Michigan, and it seemed like another one of those classic Andy Reid reaches at the time. People just didn't care. Honestly, they wanted a safety to replace Brian Dawkins. They thought Earl Thomas was that dude. And now, two-time Super Bowl champ, all-time leader in games played, third in sacks. He has more than lived up to what the expectations were when he went 13th overall in, was it 2010? I want to say 2010. Yep. So I think that record, yeah, okay, it's kind of a longevity thing, but it also speaks to his perseverance, one, to deal with us. I mean, not easy. It ain't easy. This city is not for everybody. And two, the man has not been without injuries in his career. You go back to 2021. He tears his Achilles. Was it 2021? Yeah, tears his Achilles in week 2, ruptures the Achilles. And then in 2022, at age 34, records a career-high 11 sacks coming off of a torn Achilles in his, mid-30s. That's toughness. That is being a freaking badass. And I think the record for games played in the franchise is kind of that shows the arc of his career, his ability to stick it out and kind of come out on the other end. Franchise legend, Super Bowl hero, Brandon Graham.
Well, yeah, and I think you bring up the Earl Thomas thing, right? Like, that's the thing that a lot of people immediately go to, is because, let's call it for what it is. Earl Thomas had a really good career. I mean, he was part of that Legion of Boom, won a Super Bowl with Seattle, got back to another one, probably should have won a second if it weren't for, the Malcolm Butler interception.
Yeah.
But was a really, really, really good player. It's hard to compare the guys at draft day, which you're always going to do.
Of course.
Because the theory is, like, see what it is in 2 years, see what it is in 4 years, see what it is in 6 years type of thing. You ended up with a franchise caliber player. It took time to get there. There's no question about it. And I think it took perseverance, as you brought up, from Brandon Graham. It took a change of mindset from the fans. It took a whole scope of different things to get to this point where not only is he a franchise caliber player, he's a beloved franchise caliber player that everybody rallies behind because of the personality and the cheerfulness we've seen firsthand. He is a genuinely good dude.
Oh my God!
And then a good player on top of it. But it was not without trials and tribulations to get to that point. Like, so the fact that this is as big of a deal as it is, and his career has been as big of a deal as it is a testament to the player that he became.
And the dude that he is, like, Tyler, you had a similar job to me at the other sports talk station. I produced at Chickies at the time, the BG show, for a few years. I've worked with a lot of athletes in a similar situation, and many of them, especially the producers, they don't care. They're there because they're getting paid whatever they're getting paid. They are certainly not sitting down, talking to and treating the producers like they are another human being in the room with them. Every single week, BG, big handshake, big smile. Hey, Bill, how you doing this week? Talk to me about whatever. Ask about the wife. Like, a genuinely good guy. And I think that's when I sat down to, like, come up with some of the biggest plays of his career. Like, obviously, the strip sack. He is forever Super Bowl hero, Brandon Graham. That has replaced Earl Thomas as his first name, which is pretty freaking awesome. But I go back to the earlier in that season, the game against the Rams. He has the fumble return that clinches the NFC East as time expires. Coming off the Achilles, like, he has a 3-sack game against the Giants in 2022. It really is so much his personality, the trash talk off the field, how good of a guy, like, the leadership, interactions with Derek Gunn. Like, that is the stuff that he's going to be remembered for just as much as being a 2-time Super Bowl champ. And that's why I wanted to put together a little list of our top 5 favorite fan favorite Eagles, which I'm going to get to on the other side, because the way it started and the way it's going, very different for BG, because he's on this list for basically everybody now. But first, we have to take another quick break. If joint or muscle pain is keeping you from doing the things you enjoy, whether it's walking the dog, working out, or just moving comfortably through your day, it's time to get you the care that you deserve. At Rothman Orthopedics, you'll find expert treatment for injuries and chronic conditions alike, with personalized care focused on helping you move better sooner. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to schedule your appointment today. Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility, our mission.
All right, if your home's in need of a little bit of TLC, or you're thinking about taking that dream vacation or whatever it might be, if you just need some extra cash, TrueMark Financial's HELOC Select is here to help. And it just got even better. The rates have just dropped, making it even more affordable to put your home's equity to work, whether you need that new kitchen or you've got a big repair coming down the line. Maybe you want to knock out some of that credit card debt. HELOC Select, or with HELOC Select, you can access all of that cash all at once or just when you need it. It provides you total flexibility, just like the perfect game plan should. So make it happen today by visiting one of TrueMark's 24 branches or head online 24/7 at truemark.com/PHLY and get in the game today. Federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender, and MLS number 404938.
All right, welcome back. I put together a list of what I believe is probably the consensus, or at least generally speaking, top 5 Eagles fan favorites. We decided to start in the year 2000 because honestly, yeah, man, the buddy teams and all that are great, but Tyler and I don't actually remember them. I certainly don't. So we're going to just go back to 2000 here, really starting basically the Reed era. We're going to just start in the Reed era. There's some spillover between Ray Rhodes and things, but when the team got good around the turn of the century is where we're going here. And I am going to start out at number 5 with Nick Foles. Not the longest career here, but certainly a memorable one. Comes in as a third round pick under Andy Reid. He's backing up. He's behind Vic. Eventually gets that job with Chip Kelly. That first tenure, the seven touchdown game, 27 touchdowns, 2 picks. Gets traded for Sam Bradford after they make the playoffs, and then has that big return where it's, oh yeah, he was thinking about maybe hanging it up. He backed up a year, I think, in KC. We need a good vet just behind Wentz as a little insurance policy. And then it ends up being, we cashed that insurance policy and it paid off big time. The man becomes Super Bowl hero. And who knows, if not for an Alshon drop against the Saints, they could have done it all over again. It kind of felt like it was going that way after the double doink. But we will never forget Nick Foles. Not the longest tenure, but it's hard to come up with a guy with a higher approval rating than the dude who won their very first Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, especially doing it as the backup quarterback,
yes.
As you said. And listen,
underdog mentality this city has.
I think we have a weird view of Nick Foles, where Nick Foles' best statistical season is almost undervalued.
Yeah.
And Nick Foles in his Super Bowl year may be overvalued until that the NFC Championship game. Because if you remember in the game against the Falcons, the offense as a whole was not very good. They scored 15 total points, and they got a ball that bounced off Keanu Neal's knee, and they got lucky. Let's call it for what it was. But then they come out and thrash the Vikings and put up a 41 spot against the Patriots. And there's a lot of love, and rightfully so, for Nick Foles. I think about Jalen Hurts now, right? Who's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. His career still has plenty of time ahead of him. And I think there's half of Eagles fans adore Jalen Hurts, and half of Eagles fans still, for whatever reason, are he's not.
It is
good
a roller
enough for
coaster
me.
with
It's a
Jalen.
very weird feel.
Yeah.
And I wonder with Jalen Hurts, he's not going to be fully appreciated by the masses until his career is over, because this is a guy who's been to 2. He's won a Super Bowl MVP. We talked about it yesterday. There was a chance he could have won it in a losing effort. He was that good against the Chiefs. And he's, by statistical measures, one of the most protective quarterbacks of all time when it comes to not turning the ball over in this franchise's history. So I think that this place may eventually go to Jalen Hurts. When it's all said and done, especially if he can win a second Super Bowl, which, we don't know, but if he can, I think that place will go to Jalen Hurts. But the love for Nick Foles is there because of the storybook and how it happened.
And because, he never had the opportunity. Like, that's the thing. Never had the opportunity to let us down. Like, as the franchise quarterback, it is a roller coaster with Jalen Hurts. It was a roller coaster with McNabb. Like, that's just the way it goes. It was a roller coaster with Wentz. Because Foles kind of got to come in, do his thing, and then ride off into the sunset, like, there was never the opportunity to poke the holes in his game. And when he went other places, it was like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care what he did with the Colts. It doesn't bother me at all that he wasn't good with the Colts. That does not affect me in the least. You know, it's just one of those things. So I think he comes in at number 5. Maybe is higher, but there's just guys who had more time here, endeared themselves a little bit more. And honestly, I grew up with them, so you're a little kid, you kind of look at them as bigger deal. And that brings us to number 4, Jeremiah Trotter. I love Trot, man. I love the Axeman. When they brought him back in 2004, I was so freaking happy after they let him go. And they have, Levon Kirkland in the middle for 2002. It's just like, oh, what are we doing here, boys? Mark Semino, like, it just fit. Jeremiah Trotter as an Eagle just fit. Now his freaking son is on the team. It is very, very cool. And I realize maybe, like, all right, we got to see, yeah, man, if you wanted him to cover a swing pass, you were screwed. And it was, that wasn't his job. He was blitzing the A-gap, and if you ran at him, that running back was going to be out for the rest of the game. Like, that was 100% what was going to happen. And, like, the swing in the axe was just so cool. And the reason I think I have him in the top 5 on this list is I remember I was on a vacation at the time with, like, my high school girlfriend's family when he got released. Career basically over. I do think he had, like, another stint, if I remember correctly. They had to bring him back with injuries and stuff. But, like, gets released in training camp, and it was, like, a bunch of people I kind of knew all, like, we're all just devastated. It was like we found out a family member died. Like, it was, that's it. Trotter's done. Like, it was horrible. And I just think, like, it's hard not to love Trot. Like, he just brought the energy of a defense that I absolutely adored.
Yeah, I initially, when you put this list together, I think this was the one that I was questioning. Not because I don't love Trotter and the Axeman thing and, coming full circle with Trot Jr. now on the team. I think it was more about the Super Bowl winning teams probably get a little bit more leverage to me.
Yeah.
And so I was curious in this particular spot, doesn't Lane Johnson fit the bill?
Lane is a guy who at the end, I think so.
Yeah.
But, like, right now it's hard to say, like, the right tackle is a fan favorite.
No, I totally get it. And I think when you see somebody make big time plays the way that Trotter did in his prime, it's hard to deny. And I think that I don't have any problem with choosing Trotter. I think if there was one guy on the list that we have, he might have been the guy I disagreed with. But I don't have a problem
as well. Because I was watching, it was like pre Hard Knocks. It was like a thing on NFL Network called Jaguar Summer, and it was their 2004 training camp. And, like, one of the big storylines is Del Rio cuts Hugh Douglas, and it was just like, bring him back. We are going to the Super Bowl this year. Bring Hugh back, and they did. But he did not have the impact in that second stint that Trotter did, where it's like, yeah, man, after that Steelers game where Jerome Bettis just ran us over, we had to put Trotter in on the defense, and then we were unstoppable up until the freaking Super Bowl. That kind of put Trotter ahead of Hugh for me, but I think, like, I was choosing the number 4 spot between those two, and just a little bit more production later in their careers, I had to go with Trot, which brings us to number 3, another guy who could maybe be higher, but I think his association with, Andy Reid's current team, and, his brother being Travis, and he's said, like, okay, I'm retired, I'm all in on the Chiefs, and just being a national figure now, I think once you reach that status, it's like, you're no longer our guy, you're kind of everywhere, but I still have a place in my heart for Jason Kelce, absolutely. The dude, at his size, to play center as effectively as he did, probably going to end up in the freaking Hall of Fame one day. Number in the rafters, all that. I got to go Kelce at 3, and he could be anywhere in the top 3, I think.
Yeah, I have no problem with this one. I think it's a solidified love for this guy across the city. And I get your point. Maybe a little bit of overexposure for the Kelce brothers at this point, but it's kind of one of those he was ours first feel to it. And you knew what Kelce's strengths and weaknesses were. Like, he was an incredible pulling center. He was a guy that played through everything. He played for the consistency in which he played in his game. The bigger bodied defensive tackles were early in his career the guys that gave him trouble, and the slimmer defensive ends and things like that he really thrived on. And then he cleaned that up a little bit. There was a point where I'm like, oh, maybe he's cooked. And then he played for like 5 more years at an all-pro level.
In 2016.
And maybe his best performances.
In 2016, after that season, I was like, they might have to move on from Jason Kelce. And then I'm talking to some people in and around the team, and they went, you don't understand. He just played basically the whole year. If I were to show you his leg, you wouldn't be able to tell me what the kneecap is and what the injury next to his kneecap is. He's got basically a softball next to his kneecap. You don't know which is which. That's how effed up his one leg is, and he played every game like he was a warrior. I have to put BG at number 2. He may be number 1 for me now. But I think number 1 still has held up for the most part. BG is, I think he's my all-time favorite Eagle at this point just because of his longevity, his career arc, the way he rode it out with us, kind of like that Charlie Manuel where Charlie had every right to just be like, yeah, I won, F you. And instead it was, nah, man, we're all family. BG has that. But number 1 has to be Doc. I think he's moved down the list for me just because, they've won. Like, they've actually won since then, but he is everybody's all-time favorite Eagle. Like, he is, if you were to poll 100 people at your Wawa, I bet you 90 of them say Brian Dawkins.
He's my answer to that question.
He's yours. He
played in an era that I don't know exists anymore, and I don't know if he could. Now, I'm not going to say he couldn't play. He absolutely still could play, no question about it. Could he be as efficient playing as violently as he did? That I don't know. But he played in an era that was like in its own little bubble where it was right at the cusp of the health and safety thing, which is good. No, I'm not saying like, hey, let's not have concussions, but like you look at him and Palomalus and all those guys, and like that was an era of safety play. Ed Reed, that was just like, these dudes are legitimate ball hawks, and they want to kind of clean your clock as you come over the middle. Like, it was the perfect combo of elite athlete plus menacing safety over the top.
I think, like, especially like, in the Super Bowl era of football, because I don't know how to rate Chuck Bednarik. He sounds like he was awesome, but I can't just pull up his film. Like, it's Reggie White and Brian Dawkins, the 2 best defensive players, probably the 2 best players in franchise history, and he represents what we love, right? Like, knocking dudes out. We love our sports to be violent. We like hard workers. We love the dudes who give the big speech. Brian Dawkins was all of it. I think he paved the way for the star role that, like Charles Woodson would play in Green Bay, that Jalen Ramsey kind of turned into, where it's like, are you a safety? Are you a slot corner? I'm a football player. I don't know, man. I'm just making the play wherever they line me up, and that was Doc. So I have to put him at number 1, even if me personally, I'm probably going BG. Like, Doc is in the Hall of Fame. BG's going to get his number in the rafters, I assume. He's going to go in the Eagles Hall of Fame. I don't think he's going to Canton, and I guess that has to maybe be the difference for Doc there. But that is it. That is always the time we have for you on the BG edition of Philadelphia. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. Let me know what you think of that list. Hit me up at Philadelphia PHLY on Twitter, or leave it in the comments. Follow us right here on the YouTube page as well. Think about becoming a part of the supporters club. You can subscribe right here on the YouTube page and hit that like button. 16 likes, not enough. BG is back, baby. All right, I am Bill Matz. Thank you to Tyler Zulli for producing. Till tomorrow, be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the mayor.